The road curves gently as it leaves the village, packed earth worn smooth by years of sandals, carts, and animals. Dust lifts with each step, settling again in the still air. A small group walks together, not in a straight line but loosely, adjusting pace to conversation. Some listen. Some watch the ground. Others glance ahead toward the next rise. In moments like this, words are spoken that will later be remembered, repeated, and written down. Not in a hall, not at a podium, but while walking. Throughout the Gospel narratives, Jesus is frequently described as teaching while on the move, along roads between towns, on hillsides reached by foot, beside fields, or just outside village gates. This pattern is so consistent that it raises a question often overlooked. Why was so much teaching done while walking? Why not remain in one place? Why does movement itself seem to frame instruction? The answer emerges from the travel culture of Roman Palestine, the habits of Jewish teachers, and the way memory and learning functioned in oral societies. Teaching while walking was not accidental. It shaped how words were heard, remembered, and shared. In the first century, most people lived within a small geographic radius. Travel beyond one's region was uncommon. When travel occurred, it mattered. Roads connected villages to markets, pilgrimage routes, and administrative centers. These roads were not empty corridors, they were social spaces. People walked together for safety, companionship, and conversation. Teaching along a road meant teaching in a shared public rhythm, not in isolation. Jesus lived in a world where learning did not primarily happen through reading silently or sitting for long lectures. It happened through listening, repetition, and movement. Teachers gathered followers who walked with them. Instruction unfolded gradually, layered across time and distance. Ideas were revisited as landscapes changed. Jewish teachers in this period often taught in motion. Rabbinic tradition later preserved sayings attributed to instruction given while traveling. Walking allowed questions to surface naturally. A pause in the road became a pause in speech. A change in terrain prompted a shift in topic. Learning was woven into daily life rather than separated from it. Movement also shaped attention. Walking engages the body. It prevents passive listening. Students must keep pace, navigate obstacles, and remain alert. Words spoken in this context are tied to physical sensation. A hill climbed while hearing a teaching becomes part of the memory of that teaching. A village passed becomes a marker in recall. This connection between place and word strengthens retention. In an oral culture, memory relied heavily on association. Teaching while walking allowed sayings to attach themselves to locations, a bend in the road, a field of grain, a fig tree. These became anchors. Later, when the place was recalled, the words returned with it. Roadside teaching also allowed for varied audiences. Some listeners joined briefly and then departed. Others followed for days. This meant teachings were often concise, repeatable, and adaptable. Short sayings, vivid images, and memorable phrasing traveled well. They could be carried by someone who heard them once and shared them later. Jesus' parables reflect this mobility. They draw on scenes visible along the road: sowers, travelers, vineyards, shepherds, laborers. These were not abstract examples, they were things seen while walking. The teaching arose from the environment, not apart from it. Roman Palestine was threaded with roads built or maintained under imperial administration. Some were major routes, others were local paths. Traveling these roads meant moving through layers of social and political meaning. Taxes, soldiers, pilgrims, merchants, and messengers all shared these spaces. Teaching along roads placed instruction within the lived reality of occupation, commerce, and community. Teaching in motion also avoided certain constraints. Fixed teaching locations often belonged to established authorities. Synagogues had leaders, temple courts had oversight. Roads belonged to no single institution. They were open spaces. Teaching there did not require permission. It could not easily be shut down. This does not mean all roadside teaching was safe. Crowds could attract attention, but it did allow flexibility. If tension rose, movement provided release. The group could continue walking. Teaching could resume elsewhere. There is also a symbolic dimension. Walking implies journey. Instruction given while walking suggests that understanding unfolds over time. One does not arrive immediately. Learning is something entered into, not completed in one moment. This fits the narrative pattern of the Gospels, where disciples gradually grasp meaning, often after misunderstanding. The act of walking together created a shared experience. Teacher and students faced the same sun, the same dust, the same fatigue. This physical equality reinforced relational closeness. Teaching was not delivered from above but alongside. Ancient biographies often highlight where teachings occurred because place mattered. A saying spoken on a road carried a different weight than one spoken in a formal setting. Roads represented transition. They were spaces between destinations. Teaching there suggested that meaning was found not only at arrival points, but in the process of moving. Jesus' teaching while walking also reflects urgency. There is limited time, villages must be reached, people encountered along the way may not be encountered again. Teaching becomes something offered in passing, not hoarded. This urgency shaped the form of instruction. Sayings are compressed, images are sharp, questions are direct. There is little room for abstraction. The road demands clarity. Movement also structured dialogue. Questions arise naturally during walking. Silence can stretch without discomfort. A pause does not feel awkward. This allows teaching to breathe. Responses can be delayed. Reflection happens in steps. Many gospel scenes place significant moments on the road, calls to follow, questions about identity, predictions of suffering. These are not delivered in classrooms, they are spoken while feet are moving. This suggests that commitment is not merely intellectual, it is directional. To follow means to walk. The phrase "follow me" carries literal meaning in this context. It is not metaphorical at first, it describes physical movement. Teaching while walking reinforces this. Learning is inseparable from following. Walking also creates liminal space. On the road, one is between home and destination. Social roles soften. Conversations open. People speak differently when they are not settled. Teaching in this space can penetrate defenses that formal settings maintain. This may explain why difficult teachings often appear on journeys. Conversations about cost, sacrifice, and reversal emerge while walking toward uncertain destinations. The physical experience mirrors the conceptual challenge. Memory studies suggest that movement enhances cognitive processing. While ancient writers did not describe this scientifically, their practices reflect intuitive understanding. Walking helps people think. It allows ideas to settle. Teaching while walking aligns with this human rhythm. The Gospels later preserved teachings without always preserving exact locations, but the repeated mention of roads, journeys, and movement indicates that early memory retained this pattern. The shape of teaching was remembered alongside its content. When teachings were later written down, they carried traces of their oral origins. Short units, parallel structures, repetition. These features suit movement. They are designed to be heard while walking, not studied silently. Teaching while walking also decentralized authority. Learning did not depend on access to buildings. Anyone who could walk could listen. This opened instruction to people who might not enter formal spaces. This openness contributed to the spread of memory. A traveler who heard a saying on the road could carry it elsewhere. Roads became conduits not only for people, but for ideas. There is also an element of vulnerability. Teaching while walking exposes one to interruption. Children, animals, weather, and passers-by all intrude. Instruction adapts. This flexibility becomes part of its character. Jesus' teachings often respond to what appears along the way. A question asked, a dispute observed, a situation encountered. Teaching is reactive as well as intentional. This responsiveness reflects a pedagogy grounded in lived experience. Lessons are not pre-packaged, they emerge from context. Walking provides that context continuously. The practice also resists closure. A lesson begun on the road may not be finished until later. This incompleteness invites continued reflection. Listeners carry questions forward. Early Christian communities remembered teachings not as isolated speeches, but as parts of journeys. This shaped how they were transmitted. Stories include movement because movement was integral. Teaching while walking also aligns with the broader biblical motif of journey. From earlier narratives of wandering and pilgrimage, movement is associated with formation. Identity is shaped along the way. In this sense, walking becomes a teacher itself. Fatigue humbles. Distance clarifies priorities. Companionship forms bonds. Teaching spoken in this context is reinforced by experience. The road does not allow detachment. One cannot remain merely an observer. To listen is to walk. To walk is to commit, at least temporarily. Teaching becomes embodied. This embodiment matters. It means that instruction is not abstract doctrine delivered to an audience. It is shared insight offered within a common path. When later readers encounter these teachings, they often imagine static scenes. But the original setting was dynamic. Words moved with bodies. Ideas traveled with feet. Understanding this helps explain why teachings were remembered as they were, why they are concise, why they are vivid, why they invite continued movement rather than resolution. Jesus often taught while walking because walking was how people lived, learned, and remembered. Roads were classrooms, journeys were curricula, movement shaped meaning. The disciples did not merely hear teachings, they walked them. Each step reinforced what was said. Each mile carried the words forward. By teaching while walking, instruction became inseparable from life itself. Learning did not happen apart from daily motion. It happened within it. In the end, the road stretches on. The group continues forward. Words spoken earlier echo quietly with each step. Teaching does not end. It travels.